I feel very strongly, obviously, that the chamber is a natural place to be leading this work because it's industry that needs to lead it. Education is mandated and is there, and government and workforce and all those things are there. And we're unabashed at saying industry would never do that. That's not how you would meet with industry. This is how you would do it. And our state is really flipping that script.
This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our guest today is Yvonne Myers. Yvonne is the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at the Fort Collins Area Chamber of Commerce, a role that she's held since 2022 after a remarkable 31-year career with Columbine Health Systems. Yvonne didn't just pivot into this role. She brought her 14 years of board experience at the Chamber and a passion for building talent pipelines that meet real business needs. Under her leadership, the Chamber has secured over $2.1 million in grants to support work-based learning, sector partnerships, and workforce program development. She's grown the talent team from a solo effort to a thriving team of 3 and currently chairs the NOCO Works Executive Committee, a 2-county regional workforce initiative. Yvonne also serves on the boards of the ARC of Larimer County and the Early Childhood Council of Larimer County. When she's not driving strategic change, you might catch her playing the string bass in the local band and orchestras. Yvonne, I'm excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the Chamber champions who are out there listening and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, Brandon, I'm excited to be here today and honored that you would ask me to participate in your podcast. So hello, everyone. I'm excited to share the little bit of work we're doing here. One thing I've learned about chambers, it's all about sharing and stealing and supporting each other for sure. So this is a great place to do it. So I really appreciate that. I think interesting fact is I was the first person in my family born in the United States. I don't know why that's tearing me up, but anyway, first person to go to college. And so today is on Fridays we support Colorado State University. We have a big basketball game this weekend. And so having gone to university is very proud for my parents and it's proud for me as well.
Yeah, that is very cool. I love hearing stories like that. It's awesome. America's a great place for that.
It is, for sure.
Well, if you would, tell us a little bit about the Fort Collins Area Chamber, just to give us an idea of the size, staff, scope of work, budget you guys work with, just to kind of give some perspective before we dive into our topic today.
Sure. Yeah. The chamber, we've been here since 1904, so we're not one of the oldest ones around for sure. We have 13 staff members. Some are part-time. I think 8 are full-time. The rest are part-time. We do have a couple of consultants that we have, subcontractors that we work with as well. We have a place-setting company that does some of our events, and we have a wonderful cranky advocacy person that writes a lot of our things and supports that work for us. We have about a $2 million budget that we work from, but we've done a Northern Colorado Prospers event. We're on the 5th year of our second NCP event where we raise about $4.5 million each one of those times to do work on transportation, advocacy, workforce, those sorts of things. We also do a total resource campaign every year. We just finished our 15th year of our total resource campaign called Moving Fort Collins Forward, exclamation point at the end of that. And we raised $536,000 this year for our sponsorships and our new members and all that sort of thing. So we have, a volunteer team of about 50 that help raise funds for that. So we're a busy in the Fort Collins area. We also play well with the Greeley and Loveland chambers in our area as well, but we're also, I would say, a pretty strong lead in our region as far as the chamber goes.
Very good. That definitely helps to give us an idea of where you're coming from as far as the chamber goes. Today, we'll focus a lot of our conversation around that work-based learning, some of those sector partnerships you guys are involved with, and some of these workforce programs that you guys are sponsoring. And we will dive into that as soon as we get back from this quick break.
Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Rose.
and we're the founders of At My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started At My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
At My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with At My Community, our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at atmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Are you ready to take your organization's funding to the next level? Hi, I'm Clint Neesmith, CEO of Resource Development Group. As a Chamber of Commerce or Economic Development Organization leader, I know you understand the value of working with experts who understand your world. And that's exactly what RDG does best. For over 30 years, RDG has specialized in fundraising for EDOs and chambers. We bring cutting-edge strategies tailored to your organization, whether you're just starting out or gearing up for yet another new funding cycle. Importantly, our firm executives are hands-on from start to finish, from the feasibility study to the successful conclusion of your fundraising campaign, and our team brings deep industry roots and national expertise to every engagement. No matter the size of your community, RDG delivers data-driven, innovative revenue solutions, reinforcing ROI to investors and making sure your vision becomes reality. At RDG, we proudly build organizations that build communities. Visit us today at rdgfundraising.com and let us partner with you, building a stronger future for your organization and the community you are working to grow and develop.
Hey, Chamber execs. Are you juggling ribbon cuttings, grant deadlines, membership renewals, and a rogue newsletter that just won't format? That's where Econ DevOps comes in. We're a virtual assistant agency built exclusively for chambers and EDOs. From social media to CRM cleanup, event planning to inbox management, we handle the behind-the-scenes work so you can focus on impact. And here's the best part. We don't just assign a random virtual assistant. We match you with someone who fits your workflow, your communication style, even your level of type A. Visit econdevops.com or email us at hello@econdevops.com and finally cross hire help off your to-do list. Econ DevOps, helping community champions make a bigger impact.
All right, Yvonne, we are back. As I mentioned before the break, we're diving into some of these work-based learning and these sector partnerships you guys are involved with all around workforce development. I don't know if there's a certain area you want to dive into first. I think there's a lot of branches to this, but
Yeah.
maybe just tell us where you guys saw the need and how you guys are addressing the need. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Yeah. So, the governor in our state, Governor Hickenlooper, back in the day in 2013, brought the sector partnership model to the state because he came from industry, right? I mean, he was a geologist, and he also had a brewery and all those sorts of things. And our economy was not doing well, and he felt like, well, industry is the one to bring that economy forward. So I was lucky to be on our local workforce board, working at a long-term care company at Columbine Health Systems, and helped start the health sector partnership. And the chamber at the time said, oh boy, it's industry led. We should be a part of that. And actually became our fiscal agent for no fee. We had somebody else doing it for 8%. And when I called the chamber and said, can you help us out? I hope to get only 1 or 2%. And they actually said, well, we'll do it for no cost. It was like, yay. So all of our money,
Wow.
which was great. And we are still that fiscal agent. 15 since 2013, we are now fiscal agent for 5 out of the 6 sector partnerships in our regions. Thir 2013, the health sector partnership and manufacturing sector partnerships launched. We're the 2 longest sector partnerships in the country that are still active. So, that's a pretty crazy thing we didn't imagine. And then, when I came to the chamber, we I really felt like we needed to launch more industries around because I really believe in this sector partnership model of industry leading where things are going. They're the one who purchase the product of education. They're the ones that have the issue and opportunity. And I do think our workforce friends, our education friends, our government friends really do want to help us. But when we're sitting on our businesses doing our work and they're in their secret lab imagining what we need, it never works. It just
I love that. Just
it's
imagining.
so we have to get up out of our house and speak to them and say, "This is what we need," and they will magically help us, right? But we're not there at that conversation, and so the vice versa also, which is they're in their secret lab going, "We know what industry needs, so we're gonna create this," and they should be also including us in those conversations. So that really is a very basic tenet of the work that we do here is, like, industry needs to be there and you need to be speaking up, and so when I started then the nonprofit sector partnership, some of the nonprofits came to me who knew about sector partnerships, said, "We wanna start one." And I was like, "Are you an industry?" I know it's a terrible question to ask, but I was like, "Are you?"
Yeah.
And so we pulled data around how many we have, how many employees, the economic impact, and went, "Holy buckets." And they don't tend to show up, in numbers because they're tucked under government, they're tucked under here, you have to kind of pull them out of Lightcast in some of those places.
Right.
We launched the nonprofit sector partnership. You hope to have 30 industry members at your launch meeting to get impact. We had 90 people there from nonprofit. You
Wow.
hope that they walk away with 3 things they wanna work on. They wanna work on 5. Nonprofits are used to roll up their sleeves and doing their work, and so our region had formed a TID, a tax incremental district, charge more. If you come here, you have to pay a little bit more to our hotels and motels and things, and then that money goes to marketing the region. And I said, "Well, you're then already a sector partnership because you have to lay down your competition as industry and come together to work on issues you can collectively solve." So that was an easy lift of the hospitality sector partnership. So they've now been launched about 4 years ago. And construction launched during the COVID. I mean, they launched like March 10th, and then we all got shut down like the 20th, right? And so they did very little during COVID. They relaunched and they said, "We're going to do a construction con. We're going to bring hundreds of kids in to learn how to, I mean, they bring in like big equipment, and the kids actually get to sit on big equipment and do some things and all of that and do, welding and that kind of stuff as well." And so they quickly people wanted to write them checks, so they're like, "How are we gonna take the checks?" And we're like, "We'll be your fiscal agent, we'll help you." So we provide directors and officers insurance, we sign the contracts for the events they go to, we use our liability insurance. So all we do is create that frame for them to be successful and hold them up, and they go off and do the work, right, as well. So a year ago, we launched the financial sector partnership. And I can tell you that we kinda launch them all a bit the same with the leadership team and the committees of work you wanna do, and then we let them be who they are, and they are completely all different. They have websites, and you can imagine it's colorful and lots of stuff on the nonprofit, and the financial sector partnership is black and white, very streamlined and much different, and so we get the opportunity to let them be who they are and do the work that they
Yeah.
want to do. So with that, we then received grant funds to the health sector partnership came to us and said, "We'd really like to do more work-based learning, but it isn't working the way it's going. Schools are calling us, we're calling schools. It's just like this disconnected mess. We don't know which schools to call. Schools are reaching out to us multiple times. We're getting asked too much." So we collectively wrote a grant between the school districts in our region, the health sector partnership, and the chamber, and we were the fiscal agent and became the lead for the grant because we can more quickly write the grant and do the grant. You have to go through school boards, you have to go through and the health sector partnership's not an entity, so they can't apply, as you know. So we received funding and hired a subcontractor to work directly with CTE teachers to bring industry to do work-based learning. And have gone from 40 to over 400 with our help of activities where students are either getting paid and they're in internships, or they're doing job shadows or informational interviews. And what we find is when we can really hook that industry member and write that plan well of what a student could do in an internship or even in a job shadow, they will take more, right? And
Yeah.
they will say, I need 2 or 3. Figure out this will be my pipeline for my employees. Some say, well, I went to Rocky Mountain High School. I want to support Rocky Mountain High School. I'm doing good work for these students to get exposures. And we really push this notion. You hear this across the country. I can't imagine a job I've never heard about. Right?
Right.
So we really we use the Zello platform, which is what the school district started with, so it's XELLO, and students also make requests. So our now the grant ended, and it's now a staff member, and we found some more funding through our local nonprofits and our county who gave us funds to continue doing this. We find that our staff member has to cold call. 3 kids wanted interior design, so she calls the interior designers, and she's got now 2 wonderful interior designers who regularly take students. In a great way, these students are they're amplified and say, "This is what I wanna do," and off they go into the wide world of it, learning how to be an interior designer. So that's been highly successful. When the state of Colorado then put out more funds to incentivize business to do this work-based learning, they recognize the cost. I mean, the staff member that's off the floor or out of the position to do that work, to develop the plan, all those sorts of things. So we applied and received a $500,000 grant, and we were able to give out 400,000 in incentives and did so in 8 months. That
Nice. That's cool.
could get up to $10,000 if you did all the way to an internship. And so we had 150 businesses. We could only fund 48. We really found that this was really and it didn't there's not a one-to-one match. Industry isn't getting fully paid for the work they're doing. That little donut shop is not the 2,500 is not gonna cover their cost, even the 10,000. But it's a recognition that there is a cost, that there is an effort that you have, that we recognize that for you. And so we actually received $50,000 in funding this past year from Woodward, one of our larger industries in the area, who said, "Well, we wanna continue doing that work." They have a charitable trust, and they gave us funds, and we have a request in for more funds from them to do this incentive work as well.
That's awesome.
And that all came out of the sector partnerships wanting to do work-based learning with funding that we got. So it sort of just starts to build on itself
Yeah.
as you go.
Yeah. That's very cool. So these business sector partnerships, I imagine for some listening, it may be a new concept. Maybe their chamber doesn't, take this approach. How do you go about starting a business sector partnership? And do you feel like you have to get all of the businesses in that sector in your region or whatever to be a part of it? Or are there going to be some that abstain from being a part of the partnership? How does that work?
That's super. Those are super great questions, Brandon. So when Colorado started it, we used what's called the Next Gen Sector Partnership Model, and they've just changed their name to Foundation. So
Okay.
I think you could Google Next
Yeah.
Gen Sector Partnership either as well. And you do reach out to those who are most influential in that region and that are going to bring
Makes
that
sense.
are gonna bring others. Like, if you get an invite from that restaurant owner, you're like, "I don't know what it is, but I better go." So
Yeah.
you kinda lean on those. They don't have to be leaders after that. They don't you kinda not use them, but you activate them for that moment, right? And so we traditionally always use the purple wall model. It's a Canadian facilitation process. So if you Google purple wall facilitation, you will find it. And it's really just a parachute piece of material that's purple, and you spray sticky on it, and you put all the industry at a U-shaped table, and you say, "What keeps you up at night?" And it takes a minute. Someone has to be brave and write the first thing. And with our healthcare one of the hospital administrators wrote, "I don't know how to discharge mentally ill people out of my hospital when I have no resources, and they're just sitting there." And
That's
so
huge.
I lifted that up and read it to all the other people at the U-shaped table, and they said, "Oh, that's what we're talking about." And then the cards start flying, right? And you place them together, in cards that match, and pretty soon you have 42 cards that say, Behavioral health is an opportunity, right? Workforce is an opportunity. What the last purple wall for the health sector partnership is, every couple of years you do it again to be sure you're on track. For the now for hospitals, it's safety and security of the staff. That is becoming a very big
Huh.
opportunity for sector partners to work on. There's a bit of a model that says you need a leadership team, you need some bylaws, and you should have quarterly meetings and committees or so. I mean, after that,
Or do what works for you, right?
do what works for you, absolutely. And a lot of times, when we started, I didn't worry about who came. I just thought we need to keep moving it forward so people will find out and say, well, I better become a part of that, right? And that we kept it valuable and important. So, like the health sector one that I led for 8 years as a healthcare employee, we always did a post legislative recap of what happened. Nobody has time to follow what's happening in the legislature and know what's going on. And then then they've moved to, now they have a legislative committee because we have a lot of legislation around healthcare now. So now they've moved to not a listening after, but a proactive before, right? And that's again that evolution of these sector partnerships moving and they want. But for me, they are a confab of the willing working on what they want to work on. So he who shows up, we work on the things you want to do, right? And so if it's not meeting your needs, then you're not going to come, or you get a group of people together who say, we want to work on this sort of a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And not everybody has to join. Keep it going, keep it moving forward, and people will come when they want to.
Yeah. And I imagine in every community, those business sectors are going to look slightly different. I mean, you may have some overlap where healthcare is something important, or
Right.
housing or manufacturing or whatnot, but others, maybe manufacturing is not as big of a factor and you go a different direction.
Very much so. We have one of the only nonprofit sector partnerships in the country, because nonprofits, there's a part where industry also contributes, right? They may pay for all partner meetings. They may, for the construction con, they're all buying the booths, they're bringing their equipment. I mean, they're spending
Yeah.
cash to do this, and nonprofits don't have as much money. But our nonprofit sector partnership is very active and has figured out how to do all of that without pulling money away from the nonprofits themselves. So they're very active. So you're right, it's unique to each community and each region. We found the financial sector partnership when they launched, they're one that kind of crosses over all the sector partnerships,
Yeah.
and fiscal literacy or financial literacy has become a topic with everyone, because even though wages have gone up, people are still struggling, with what things cost and housing and all that. So they're looking at how they can bring trainings and education to the other sector partnerships. They also highlight the financial sector partnerships. Every all partner meeting hosts a nonprofit to share with what they're doing, so these banks and other financial folks can understand what's happening in the nonprofit world. And so
Yeah.
they've actually started to cross across each other to support each other as well, which has been fun to watch.
Very cool. Now, I know you guys have gotten into the work with focus with automotive and
Yes.
HVAC industries. You want to tell us about that and
Yeah,
how that came
yeah.
to be?
So our state did some financial training for those of us that are intermediaries. As the chamber has gotten into workforce, we're now listed as a workforce intermediary. So we're a connector between industry and workforce, economic development, all of that. And so,
Conveyor, right?
right. And they recognize with all of the ARPA money that had flowed into all of us, post COVID, that was going to dry up. That's once in a lifetime. We hope none of us want to live through another
Right.
COVID situation, and that, what was going to happen after this big infusion of cash, and then things were going to stop. And so they did financial training for us. And in that were folks from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation and their Talent Pipeline Management Program. And so I started to learn about that program. So I decided to take the course, and so glad that I did, because it really builds on sector partnerships, which is industry led, but in the workforce committee. The sector partnerships might work on legislation or labor laws or other things, not
Mhm.
all labor laws or liquor laws. We had a thing that went on in liquor laws with hospitality. And so with the talent pipeline management, it really is, industry coming together and kind of owning what's happening in that space. And what I mean by that, like with HVAC, when we met with them, we said, what is your greatest need that you have to solve in the next 2 years? That's how TPM is. And they said, oh, we need entry level maintenance technicians. But guess what? With those 10 folks, they titled that title 10 different names. And that's a problem,
Really?
right?
Yeah, it
So how
is.
can I as a CTE teacher, how can I as a parent, how can I as an applicant even figure out what role this is across all of these vendors and providers? Also, we went through an exercise of agreeing to what are all the skills they need to have to be hired and what skills are they going to be taught as they're moving forward. So they come into alignment with that because then we take that to education and say, if you can teach these things, we will hire them from you.
Yeah.
And maybe there's 15 things and my business wants 18 things. Well, those 3 are mine to teach. These 15 will come from education. And then you survey your education and say, what programs do you have? How many students can you take? So in our region, our HVAC providers, and it's from Brighton, Colorado, which is a little closer to Denver, up to Laramie, Wyoming. That's the geographic area our HVAC members provide. They said we need 250 over the next 2 years. Well, that
Wow.
number wakes up education, right? If I call as my own little HVAC company and I say, I need 3 people in the next 2 years, they go, well, isn't that sweet? I'll send some resumes or, you can come see our
Yeah.
students. You say 200 move the nation, honestly. And so our local school district here are aging as a state in Colorado, and we're not having as many babies. And our schools are, some places in Colorado are closing schools, and our district would like to repurpose them and use them for education of other folks, right? In
Yeah.
the evenings, on the weekends, adults, that kind of thing. I'm sure that's happening across the country as well. So the HVAC folks did surveys with educators and community colleges and, do you need a 2-year degree? Do what education do you need? Where can we hire folks and then train them and then put them back into education? Like, how can we look at this differently? The automotive is in the same place. They're a few months behind them. But in both cases, yesterday's meeting with our automotive, we had our school district here, and they're like, what would it take for you to hire somebody under 18? They're like, well, we can't. Well,
Why not?
right. In healthcare, when I was asked that question, why can't you hire them under 18? I said, well, it's a nursing home regulation. Well, it's not. And I said, it's an OSHA rule. It's not.
No.
It must be a labor law because why we've always done it that way, right? It's not a labor law. I asked our liability insurance provider. He said, oh yeah, you can't. And I said, can you show me where that is? Because I needed to tell other people why we couldn't
Yeah.
do it. So give me the piece of paper. And then he came back 2 weeks later and he said, yeah, I got that. So we started taking students in high school when they finished the med prep program because you want to grab them when they're ready and you want to get them going and you want to get them in your in jobs and then we'd scholarship them. Then we would pay for their nursing, right? And so same sort of thing in automotive and HVAC. And what I love about it is it holds industry accountable to stop stealing from each other and paying another dollar and taking that employee. They're collectively
Right.
together. They also are helping develop curriculum. They also are helping to donate supplies. Like they can push on their suppliers and say, hey, so our high school automotive bay is 1 bay, and I guess the lift is bad. I don't know about lifts and
Yeah.
all, but all the automotive people are like, this is terrible. We need to get to 4 bays, and they can use their influence with their suppliers who want students to be hired so that they can supply the supplies. And so
Yeah.
here it works. And the magic of it is that industry who's had their head down all these years saying, well, they just don't provide me the right people. Those educators don't know, get to play and understand the parameters of what education has to work under and the limitations they might have or the issues they might have. The educators who say, well, these industry people never hire the right people, they get to hear on the other side. And then we collectively come together and try to solve that problem.
Right.
It's a long journey, right? We're not gonna get to 250 students, but 3 to 5 years we should look back. And the idea is now we've done maintenance technician for both HVAC and automotive. Now what's the next step and what's the next step? So
Yeah.
the last part I'll say is that for automotive, the greatest need they have are master mechanics, and that takes 10 years. You have to have enough pipeline coming in to get enough people to go that decade to get to be your master mechanic, right? And that's what we're great here.
Yeah. And really with both of those industries, the HVAC and automotive, I mean, with the rise of AI, those are going to be jobs that are around for a while still, while a lot of white collar jobs are going by the
Are
wayside.
going
Yeah.
away. And yesterday we had our Larimer County Workforce Center staff member with our automotive meeting, and he said, and had never heard this before, but that a lot of AI jobs are filled by women, jobs that AI may take away, and that this would be a new place, a new market to have women that can
Yeah.
come into HVAC and automotive. And most of the people in our area anyway that are managing, owning, running these businesses all came out of like VOTech programs. They had automotive in middle school, right? And
Yeah.
those programs are gone and they're coming back, but they need to come back with industry supporting them and getting the right equipment. I can share an interesting story. One of our community colleges here had a tour with all the automotive folks, and they said, and over here's our showers because we know you all have showers. So we want to mimic that. We want to teach them how it's all going to be. I looked around and all the automotive people had such funny looks on their faces, and so when we got back to the main room, I said, "I wanna go back to that shower. You all had such funny looks on your faces," and they said, "Not a one of them has showers, not a one." And so there
Wow.
must have been some automotive person someplace that said we had a shower, and then education thinks they need to provide that. And think of the cost of putting in the showers and having the showers and talking about the showers. That's not what we need. We might have needed 3 more car bays or an electric car bay or something different than that. And so I'm super excited and to watch the aha moment. So yesterday they said to the school district, well, if you have 18 students and they've gone through, semester 1 and semester 2 and they have their ASE certification, how do we get those kids? You could just like, wow, 18 kids. And she said, well, we have this, do you do a career fair? And I said to them, when you're in this talent pipeline management collaborative and you're coming to meetings and you're donating equipment and maybe even giving scholarship funds, you pay or do what you want, but you have opportunities to play more because you know what the need is. You have first bid on those students, right? Like you are helping to create the pipeline. And it was like, what? Like crazy town. And the other part is that industry, whether it's HVAC or automotive, we've heard this a lot, honestly feel like the students that come out of the schools are the ones who everyone said, well, Timmy and Sally, they're not going to make it. So we'll just stick them in automotive or HVAC.
Right. Yeah.
And
Kind
that
of a
is
negative connotation, right?
right, and that really isn't true. And with the advent of computers and the technology around automotive and even HVAC, I mean, you have to plug in with your phone and understand the error messages and all the things. These are becoming highly technical positions. They want all of the levels of students to come to them. And with HVAC, we've learned there's 49,000 openings right now in the country for HVAC across the country. And these call centers and all these other places like that have to be cooled and heated and all of that. And they say if you get HVAC trained, you can work anywhere in the world. Right. And
Yeah.
so kids are starting to hear that, parents. It's very interesting, exciting stuff. And these were folks that sort of just popped up because the chamber hears and listens and sees what's going on and has those industries with us. It wasn't like we had this big
Makes those
data.
connections. Yeah.
We had all these automotive people say we cannot find people, we can't get, and then HVAC, because it doesn't have a union, which is maybe good or bad, I don't really know, but because of that, they're kind of out there a little bit. And because it involves some electrical and some plumbing and a little bit of sheet metal, they kind of fall in this no place. And I'm super excited to help bring them together with a voice.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. It's exciting work that you guys are involved with these
Well, thank you.
partnerships.
Yeah,
And
it's fun every
yeah,
day. So
that's awesome. Well, as we begin to wrap things up, I wanted to ask you, for those listening who want to take their chamber up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item might you leave for them as they try to work towards that goal?
yeah, I do think that I feel very strongly, obviously, I've said it a little bit earlier in this podcast, but that the chamber is a natural place to be leading this work because it's industry that needs to lead it. Education is mandated and is there, and government and workforce and all those things are there. And we're unabashed at saying industry would never do that. That's not how you would meet with industry. This is how you would do it. And our state is really flipping that script because many of our chambers are playing in that space. Our Vada chamber, Boulder, Grand Junction are really also, we're all collectively in this space. And so I think you're remiss if you're not playing in that space, even being at the meetings. You may not have to be leading a TPM, but lifting up that voice and then bringing your chamber members to that, because the way the workforce system has worked for a long time isn't going to continue working the right way if we're not at
Right.
that table. So I think that's a really big deal. Don't undersell yourself. Like you are vitally important in the workforce space. If you've never stepped into it, you really, really are, and it doesn't take much for you to get going. So don't be afraid. Call me. I'll help you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I love that. I like asking everyone I have on the show about the future of chambers and how you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward.
Yeah. You know, next month I'll celebrate 5 years here, but as you stated in my bio, I was on the board for 14, and when I took over the marketing position at our company, not running an assisted living anymore, I thought, "Well, I don't know if I can do this." And the owner said, "You have to go. You better go to the chamber." And I thought, "Well, what is that?" So
Yeah.
I went, and it was Rolodex days, way before the computers. And so I went from one Rolodex to two, and I became someone at our company that, "Do you know somebody here?" I'm like, "I do, and if not, I know somebody who knows somebody here." And so chambers are, to me, have to always be here. The collection of how industry comes together, has their voice, advocacy for business, that voice of business, but also it's a journey for a business. I come as a new, I'm just opened up my business. So this is how I learn how to market and how to where SBDC is and where all the resources are to start my business. And then I get successful in my business and I start taking on internships or I start, donating back to the community, and then I'm far enough along that I join your board and I'm making impact and decisions about all of that.
Yeah.
And even past board members are still very connected to us and call us with ideas and suggestions and all those sorts of things. And I think the future of chambers is even more important because of the importance of business and how we drive the economy, what a big say we have in what happens in our economy. But we also recognize the importance of government and nonprofits and all the other components. But
Yeah.
without us, none of that works. And so I feel like chambers are going to maintain their importance and coming together to collectively work on things and not being in silos. I'm not saying that chambers are, but sometimes in a region there we have 19 chambers in our region and we do a couple of things together every year. And that's important to continue doing and lean on each other and work together. But I feel like chambers, the value of chambers will not go away, hasn't gone away since the 1800s and will still continue to be vitally important. And we need to be sure that we're raising the funds and being in the front seat of convening, championing, and connecting people and
Yeah.
continuing to do that work.
Yeah. That touches back on your original comment you made when we started this about the R&D within chambers and just do that rip off and duplicate and see what works, in another community. And if it can work in your community, give it a shot.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Don't
and
change.
I have never not I mean, I've reached out across the country, and I have never not had anyone say, "Absolutely, here's all my resources," then 2 days later, "I found some more videos for you, and here's some more
Right.
resources for you," and I just love the camaraderie, I just love the connection to how important, industry is and entrepreneurism is and moving the economy forward, so it's an honor to
Absolutely.
be here.
Well, in that vein, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who may want to reach out and connect with you and learn more about all these exciting things
Sure.
you've covered
Yeah,
today.
for sure. So I'm at the Fort Collins Area Chamber of Commerce. You can always Google that and my picture's there and all my contact information for sure. My email is the letter Y as in Yvonne Myers, Myers at FC as in Fort Collins Chamber.org. Our phone number is there as well. My cell phone number is on our website. So feel free to reach out at any point or at any time.
That's perfect. I'll have all that linked in our show notes for this episode to make it easy. But Yvonne, this has been great having you on, and you guys are doing great work there in Fort Collins, and
Well,
keep it
thank
up.
you.
And thank you for sharing some of that great work with us today.
Well, thank you for asking me to participate. I'm honored.
If you are a chamber professional, be sure to subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast on your favorite podcast app or now on YouTube so you never miss a new episode. New episodes are released each week and delivered right to you. If you're finding value in the podcast, please take a moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. It really helps others discover the show. And most importantly, share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues in the industry so we can continue to grow and strengthen the Chamber community together.
This episode is brought to you by Riverside. If you've ever thought about starting a podcast for your chamber or your business, one of the biggest challenges is recording high-quality audio and video, especially when you and your guest aren't in the same room. Riverside is the platform I use to record every episode of the show. It gives you studio-quality audio and video right from your browser, automatically backs up your files, and even creates clips you can use on social media. It's designed to make podcasting simple and professional without the headaches. If you're ready to launch your podcast or upgrade your recordings, head over to chamberchatpodcast.com/riverside to get started today. Again, that's chamberchatpodcast.com/riverside, the same tool I trust to bring you these conversations every week.